Welcome to Selfish Confidence, a place where we can connect and be real about how hard it is to be your damn self. I'm your host, Jess, and my goal is to help you build confidence and belief in yourself to live any life path you want, even if it's unconventional. It's time to break down those barriers and connect with women who've also felt on the outside by their life choices. We're encouraging you to grab the mic and speak your truth. I know it can be scary, but we're in this together. We got this. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Selfish Confidence Podcast. Today, I got a juicy one for you because I know there are a few people who need to hear this, myself included, because this is a hard time of year. This is a time of year, like we talked about a few weeks ago, where you are coming in hot. You got all the goals. You have everything on your heart. You are ready to go. You're freaking flying. Your goal list is huge. Your vision board is done. You are ready to freaking go. And now we're almost 2 weeks into the new year, and you've already lost track. You've already fell off the wagon, whatever you want to call it. I say F the wagon, but I know for some people that wagon and that track is so important. And here we are almost 2 weeks in, and you've already fallen off. This episode is for the women who set those New Year's goals and has already thrown them out the window. She's thrown the towel in. She said, never mind, this is too hard. I'll come back to it when I have more time, more energy, when I have, more money, whatever it is, the things that we keep telling ourselves that hold us back from living that dream life that we have because we're waiting on a timeline that doesn't exist, on a perfection scale that is not attainable. And I really think that an episode like this that doesn't call you out for falling off of where you wanted to be right now, but just reminds you that you're human and perfection is a lie in a time when we've been crapping on ourselves for not being at a certain point by now. I just want to remind you, it's still January. It's still so early in the year. Don't throw away 2023 just because it didn't start out the way that you thought it would. I wanted to give you a quick little pep talk today that you could take in your pocket, that you could save on that day that you don't want to show up. And I know how important it is for a tiny piece of motivation that you can bring with you anywhere and everywhere, how it can really keep you going on those really hard days. I've been exactly where you are, in place where you want all these big things and you want the dreams and you're trying to do them, and you're trying to be consistent, and you're trying to be perfect, and you're trying so hard. And it's not going the way that you wanted. It's not going the way that you thought it would. And just like we talked about on Monday, I really challenge you to reevaluate if things aren't going how you thought they would or how you thought they should by now. There's a couple things that you need to do. One, reevaluate those goals that you've set. Are they aligned? And ask yourself truly with your heart, is this for me? Did I set this goal as something that I want? And if the answer is yes, then we need to make a new plan. We need to make one that you can actually stick with and be consistent with, even on the days when it's so freaking hard to show up. We have to plan for those. And that's not being negative. That's just being realistic. That's the truth. We're going to have hard days. We're going to have days when we don't want to show up. We're going to have days when we don't show up. And all of those scenarios are okay. That doesn't mean you're giving up on your goals if you gave up one day, or you took a break, or you fell off the track, whatever that is. So what's that goal that you have? What's that thing that you set at the beginning of this year and you were just like, I'm going all in on this year? And even if it didn't go the way that you thought it would by now, how can we start showing up today for that dream vision that you have? Maybe it's a business that you have on your heart. Maybe it's a wellness routine. Maybe it's, the family. Whatever it is that you have on your heart, that you've had on your heart for a long time, and you know it's truly aligned, and you know it's yours, but you can't seem to stick with it. Can't seem to show up for it. It's so hard. One, I'm going to remind you, it takes a lot of routine and structure to finally get consistent with a habit. It takes way more than 10 days, 12 days, whatever, to really stick with something. We all say 21 days creates a habit. Well, that's a lie. 21 days, starts to solidify a habit, but it's not until you get past 30, 45, 60 days, 90 days, when you actually start to see the benefit of it and you actually start to enjoy the process. So if you've given up after only 10 days of the year, I just want to remind you, one, you're not alone. So many women are by your side for this. And 2, it's okay. You are in the hardest period of forming a habit. You're in the middle. And if you've given up, it's okay. Again, ask yourself and reevaluate if the goal is really for you. And if it is, how can we be more consistent? Can we make this goal really freaking small so that you'll actually show up for it every single day? It feels really silly, and I know we've talked about this on the podcast before where we set micro goals. But we were in the sisterhood this week, and somebody asked, how can I make my goals that I have into more manageable chunks? And that's when I realized how important it was to really sit down and focus on what that big goal is and how we can chunk it into these smaller little pieces. So let's say your new goal that you have on your heart is to, build this business to a certain amount of income. Let's break it down to the tiniest point. Maybe you're working on connections every day. Maybe you're working on, finding the right people who might enjoy your business. When it comes to these goals that we have, I think in society we've been told to make them big. Go big or go home. And it's not the reality here. I want you to make the goal so manageable that even on a day when it's 10 o'clock at night and you're laying in bed and you're just like, I didn't do my thing today, that you could still get up and do it because it's only a minute of connecting online, or maybe it's only a minute of walking around the house or writing 1 sentence a day. There's so many different pieces that can be so small that you can't say no to. I remember when I was starting a practice of meditation and my goal was 1 minute a day. And I felt like such a freaking cheese ball to do 1 minute because really I didn't think I was getting that much out of it in 1 minute. But you know what I did get out of it? I got consistency. I got a practice. I got a habit. And I know it's the same for you too. So instead of making these big goals, like I need to do, an hour-long workout every day, or I need to hit 10,000 steps, or I need to work on my business for an hour every single evening, that's just not going to happen. There are going to be days when you don't have time. Heck, it's already happened, right? You've already thrown the towel in. And I know that doesn't feel good. I know it doesn't feel good when you don't show up consistently. So why not make the goal so freaking small that you start to have more confidence in who you are because you show up for it every single day? I told one of the girls in sisterhood who's also struggling with setting goals and making them, small. And she was uncomfortable with setting goals because oftentimes when she set goals, she didn't hit them. So what I told her to do to get more comfortable with goal setting was make the goal of getting out of bed every single day, or make the goal of brushing your teeth every single day. Make it something that you already do consistently as a habit, because by checking the box and saying, I did that today, you gain more confidence. And it feels really silly. It feels childish, right? Like that's what we do for our kids to teach them to use the potty. But why not do that for yourself? I love coloring a box in or putting a sticker on a chart. It just helps me to feel better about being consistent about my goals. Even if the goal is something really silly like taking a shower or shaving my legs. I did that today, and I'm pretty proud of myself for it. So if you've thrown the towel in on the goals that you set for this year, reevaluate them, make them smaller and more manageable so you can show up consistently and get an accountability buddy. Get someone that you can lean on, that you can send a message to and be like, I am struggling today. And they'll be like, your goal is to brush your teeth. Like, come on, you can do this. Or whatever it is that you've set on your heart. Having someone who you can lean on, having someone who can remind you that it's really not going to be that hard for you to show up, it makes a really big difference. And for you, it might be your partner, someone who you live with, who you can just, let them cut the bullshit with you and say, just go do it. Go get on the bike or go walk around the block or, go write 1 sentence, whatever it is. You can do these things. You can make them so small that you can't not show up. But if you don't feel like showing up, which again, is probably going to happen, even on the small scale goals that we have an accountability buddy, have someone that you can lean on and that you can call whenever you need a little pep talk. And if you don't have someone, if you're just like, no one understands me, I'm the black sheep in the family, nobody gets it, my goals are silly, I want you to join the sisterhood. I want you to become part of a community who wants to see you thrive and wants to see you grow. There's something really special about strangers on the internet who have big dreams too, who struggle just like you to show up. They're never going to judge you for not getting the job done, but they will judge you for throwing in the towel when you could keep going, when you could shift things and change your mindset a little bit, make it smaller, get really firm in why you're doing it and understanding if this goal is really for you. Why is it so hard? Why do I want this? Lean into these big questions and really find your confidence through showing up consistently and through doing something that feels so authentically you that you can't not show up. And the last thing I'll say to you on this topic, because again, I told you this was going to be a quick, simple little pep talk today because we all have things to do. You have goals to achieve. You have a light to live in this world. You can do it. Throw out the need for it to be perfect, and I promise you these goals are going to come to light. One of the biggest things that I tell a lot of my clients is when they have goals and they have these things and they say, I'm going to show up every day for 30 days, right? And then we miss a day. And then it's almost like the goal was never a thing. We're just like, oh, well, I already messed it up, so I'm not going to keep going. This is when you got to dig deep. Find that why, make sure it's authentic for you, and lean into it. Just keep going, keep pushing. So what if you missed a day? So what if you missed a week? There is no shame in a messy story. And I think what's really interesting on this too is that people who've hit the goals that we put on this pedestal and that we look up to them like, wow, they did it. You never ask them if they were consistent or if they were perfect or if they showed up every single day. They didn't. I know for a fact they didn't. But what they did do was keep showing up even after they fell off, even after things weren't perfect. Maybe they changed things up. They got a solid why. They found an accountability buddy and they kept going. And you can do it too. I know it's in you, so do not beat yourself up today for throwing in the towel a few weeks into January. Screw that. There's no perfect timeline. There's no shoulds. You can do it. Find that magic and keep shining. The world needs you and needs your passion. I hope you have an awesome week. I am so grateful that we could connect today. If you enjoyed today's episode, share it with a friend or on your social media and tag me so I can personally thank you for helping me grow this community and get my message out there. And don't forget, you deserve to embrace your truth. It's time to live life your way.